Good afternoon, everybody. For this video, I'd like to apologize ahead of time. It sounds like I may have smoked every cigarette that's ever been in existence, but what really happened was I volunteered at my son's school to help cover some of the kindergarten classes, and turns out those kids love to play, and I lost my voice out on the playground. So I'm still getting my voice back, but yeah, it is what it is. But today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about um, the market and the way things are looking. Um, I know I deal with a lot of people, potential customers, or just in passing, and a lot of people tell me that they are waiting for interest rates to lower, which is understandable when you're looking at it from that one perspective. But an important thing to consider is it's projected that house values are going to increase 3 to 4% or potentially more this next year. So, if you really consider the fact that if prices of homes are going to continue to rise, are you really saving much money in the long run by waiting for that extra percentage? When, if you buy now, if the interest rates do drop, you always have the opportunity to refinance and get those interest rates lowered. But you can't drop the price of a home. So what's going to happen is the longer you wait, and of course, we're coming on the tail end of winter, and once we get into the spring, summertime, that's when everything picks up. So not only are you looking at that gain in value and the continuing rising of prices of houses due to the limited supply, you also are now going to introduce larger competition. There's still a limited supply of homes, and the more people who enter the market makes it more competitive. Therefore, it becomes even more favorable for sellers. So, these are some factors that you really need to consider if you're taking that angle of I'm waiting for interest rates to drop. Um, I know that is a very popular thing, and another thing to consider is we are right about at the 30-year average of interest rates now. So 6.9% roughly, I believe, is the 30-year average, and we're hovering right around that point, maybe a little lower right now in the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. So we're really not that far off historically. I know a lot of people are really hoping that we'll come back to that historic 3.5% that we saw during the COVID pandemic, but you have to put that into perspective. That is the lowest interest rates have ever been since we've been tracking the data. So that is highly improbable. And if it does come back down to that, then their situation is going to be something pretty dire that got us there. And you may not be in the position to purchase a house at that time. And the only people who will be are those who are financially well suited. So if you're a young startup family looking to get into your first home, waiting for something like that to come around is just really not very realistic. And I just would like you to consider these things when you sit down to think about what is the catalyst that you're waiting for to finally step up and put that offer in. Because honestly, right now, the winter time when the competition is lower this is the best time for you to try to get in because it's going to be easier, and there may even be room for you to negotiate on prices because the competition isn't there yet. But the longer we wait, and I saw the same thing happen last year, it was slow in the wintertime, and then as soon as spring started to come around, that market, the applications for mortgages jumped, and people came out to buy, and then it became competitive. So these are things for you to consider. Um, in a perfect world, it would be low interest rates, lots of inventory, and housing for everyone to get into. But that's just not where we live. Unfortunately, housing continues to grow in value and continues to grow in scarcity as the amount of houses on the market are continued to be a low inventory situation, which is unfortunately beneficial to the seller and not so much the buyer. So those are things to ponder. If you're considering making that first step into home ownership, I do happen to have a couple of wonderful lenders that we work with that are very well versed in all the excellent programs that are out there. Another thing that I hear commonly, especially with people in my generation, is they still believe in that 30% down to get into a home. And that's just really not the situation. It hasn't been like that for a very long time. I kind of blame the NAR for a lack of public education on the situations, but I guess that's kind of where my job comes in handy, is to explain to you how things have changed considerably. You no longer need to save up that 30% if you're a first time buyer. There are so many programs out there. And in our Thurston County area, especially, as soon as you get away from Lacey Olympia, the you now are in what's considered rural territory. So that even opens up even more government programs. The USDA does 0% down on rural housing, and even on convention on the standard FHA first time buyer loan, they have such low requirements. It's not something that you have to be perfect credit or have a ton of money down. In fact, the FHA will take people down to a 580 credit score with 3.5% down. So just don't make it seem like home ownership is out of your reach, because it really isn't. And home ownership is the most common way for that most people built that generational wealth. I mean, you purchase a home and you're investing in yourself, but if you continue to rent, you're investing in somebody else. So think of rent as 100% interest. You're not getting anything out of it. But if you're paying your own mortgage, you're investing in yourself and your family's future. So again, I apologize for my voice. I know it's a little rough, but I just thought it would be important to sit down and talk to some of you guys about some of these things. And if you'd like to further discuss any of that, you can always reach out to me personally. My phone number is right here. And you can reach out to me by email. My email address is jbrealestate2023@gmail.com. Other than that, it looks like it's snowing outside. I'm seeing some snow sticking on the ground, so that means everybody be safe, and I hope you have a great weekend. Take care.